Good afternoon. I'm Jake Peters. I want to share my testimony. This is going to be a short video, and then there's going to be probably about 2 or 3 more short videos to follow. I want to start off with saying that I was born in Mexico. My parents, they loved us, they cared for us, and they were trying to do all the best for us. They were teaching us to the best of their knowledge. They told us that the Word of God was the true Word of God. But see, they were also part of a religion that didn't believe in salvation, even though the Word of God clearly teaches that. The Word of God is the truth. Yes, they told us that Jesus was real, that God was real, but we also read in James 2 verse 19, it says even the demons believe, and then they shudder. So my parents thought we could not know that. And then as I grew up, I became when I started joining the young people group, there was drinking. My parents did not approve of that. There were other things that they did that my parents didn't approve of. But see, my parents, they wanted us to have friends. So they didn't really talk us out of drinking, even though they didn't like it. So I started drinking. There were other young people around that lived more like my parents would have wanted us to live. I would have gladly joined that group, but my parents would not allow it. See, because they were from the church that believed that we could know if we were saved, that we could know if we had salvation. And so my parents did not approve of that. But I sometimes went there secretly. But I could not let my parents know. Then in 1981, I decided to go to the U.S. I told everybody that I wanted to go there to work and make some money. Although I wanted to work and make money, but that was not the real reason I went there. See, from young on, I always loved airplanes. I went there, I wanted to learn how to fly. And so I did. And I enjoyed it. Yes, I got scared at one time at least. I was playing around and all of a sudden I got the airplane into a spin. But I also was able to recover quite quickly because my instructor had always told me what to do should I ever get into a spin. I was never in danger, but I sure got scared that time. What I want to say about the time in Kansas there, like I said before, I always had a desire for what to be good. I had a longing for the gospel. I loved the gospel. And so I drove around and I found some churches that said Mennonite church. And since I was from a Mennonite background, I went there. And I went to Sunday school there a few times. I really loved it. And then just a little bit before I went back to Mexico. There were 2 Mennonite churches. Their young people got together one evening. It was a big group of young people together. Now that evening, I saw something that I have never seen. I didn't even know things like that existed. You know, there was a big group of young people. There was no alcohol. There was no dirty language. And that amazed me. I really liked what I saw. I can't express how I felt. Like I said, I didn't know things like that existed. But it really spoke to me. And then as I was ready to go to Mexico, the house that I rented happened to be belonged to one of the pastors. So he comes over before I leave, and he says he wants to talk to me yet about salvation, because he said he would feel bad if he had never talked to me, and yet I lived in his house. And so he spoke German. My English wasn't very good, but he also knew German. And so he asked me in German, he said, "Hast du die Mut bekehrt?" In other words, have you ever accepted Christ? Have you been born again? I said, no. He says, don't you want to? I said, sometimes. He said, why wouldn't you do it right away? But see, I rejected. Because I did not understand. I did not know what that meant. And yet he challenged me and he told me, you're going on a long trip. He said, you don't know if you're going to arrive there safely. I knew. That was true. But see, I didn't understand what he was talking about. And because those were words that in Mexico, that we as young people, we sometimes made fun of. The other things, I kind of believed that was, when people were getting baptized. And for the religion I came out of, that would have been just so far out, just getting baptized there all of a sudden with just me and him, there in the yard. I rejected it. See, but then I went to Mexico, and at that time my parents had started going to a different church. And so I went there too, and I started taking baptismal classes. So the pastor comes over one day, and then he asked me, have you ever been born again? Now see, now at this time, I knew the pastor knew that I hadn't been baptized. Why would he ask me that question? And so then I asked him. He said, what does that mean? See, now I wanted to know. I'm going to cut this video off here. And I don't want to make them too long, and we'll pick up here in video number 2. If you're interested in receiving these videos or WhatsApp, I'm also going to put the link in WhatsApp so you can sign up to that link, and then we will get my future videos. May God richly bless you all.